In the art of storytelling, movement has the ability to speak louder than words, transcend language and cultural barriers. I'm Fabian Tejada, and I spent over 25 years practicing motion design, working on projects from television, film, advertising, experience design, and political campaigns. I founded the Los Angeles studio as a creative practice focused on novel and useful motion design. I still remember the moment I fell in love with computer animation. As a child born in the 70s, I was fascinated by logos and how logos came to life during movie night promos on NBC, Levi's commercials, or that canned food commercial featuring a full 3D chrome lady in space. All work produced by Robert Abel and Associates. That fascination as a child turned into a lifelong passion for creating with art and technology. Here's a quote. Just take it in. Today, we'll delve into the world of motion design as a powerful tool in visual storytelling, exploring examples of my past collaborations with directors, producers, and organizations. As we wrap up this talk, I sincerely hope that you have gained a deeper appreciation for the incredible artistry of motion design and the immense potential it holds. It's remarkable how motion design can overcome boundaries and bring people together through the universal language of movement. Motive Journey. Produced at Pentagram, this project marked a return to form as I had the opportunity to collaborate again with Eddie Opara. Eddie and his teams were responsible for rebranding Keep Truckin' to Motive, and I was entrusted with the task of infusing movement to the Motive brand video through animation. Motive is a technology company that uses AI to improve fleet management and logistics in the physical world. My approach for this animation was to ask one simple question. How would artificial intelligence animate a brand video for itself? For starters, I used AI-enhanced tools such as Luminar AI for color correction and sky replacement, Gigapixel AI to supersize images, Adobe Sensei to help me remove objects. Here's a video.
Our economy is powered by businesses that do physical work, by people who grow our food, transport our materials, stock our stores, and pipe energy to our homes. It's run by builders, growers, makers, and movers. But for too long, these businesses have operated offline, disconnected. That's why we started Keep Truckin', because we saw technology revolutionizing the digital economy, but leaving the physical one behind. Today, our AI-powered applications and IoT platform are transforming safety and productivity across industries. Now our name catches up to our mission, to unlock the potential of the physical economy. That's what motivates us. That's what drives us forward. That's what makes us Motive.
Cool. All right. I figure I get it in early. The Madman titles, produced at Imagining Forces. It began with a short but powerful brief from showrunner Matthew Weiner. A man walks into his office, places his suitcase down, and jumps out of the window. One dreamlike loop of events that said nothing about madmen, yet it summarized it perfectly. Creative director Stephen Fuller designed the storyboards. He depicted the buildings as graph paper grids in 3D space. That was my cue to develop familiar mid-century skyscrapers. My biggest influence in the design was the Seagram building, designed by famed architect Lubert Mills van der Rohe. This building is one of the most famous examples of functionalist aesthetics and an example of contemporary architecture. Once the buildings were designed and modeled, I framed each shot and animated the 3D camera through the fall sequence. All in After Effects version 7. We're talking 2006 technology here. A note from Steven was to move the camera like a physical camera, not a virtual joyride with seamless transitions. The idea was to cut between scenes to maintain a classic cinematic feel. Fears, Loyalty. Produced at People's TV. This is a live-action PSA integrated with animation for the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs to help spread awareness of veteran PTSD and suicide prevention. It starts with an interview of a veteran's wife. Tracy recalls her moments with her husband, Mark, who is a war veteran. She takes us on a journey, recalling moments with her husband, Mark. She highlights happy family moments and his PTSD episodes. She goes on to explain how her and Mark got help from the Veterans Affairs Hotline. Directors Nicholas Bruckman and Ryder Hask had a vision for this spot that required a green screen and silhouetted characters and expressive illustrated backgrounds to recount the stories being told by Tracy.
When Mark first told me he was coming home, that was one of the best moments of my life. But I guess I shouldn't have been surprised to find that he wasn't really the same after his deployment. Before he went overseas, Mark and I spent a lot of time outdoors. We tried to guess how tall the redwoods are. But Mark, who loved to laugh, was gone. He was always on edge and so disconnected from us. I just wanted him to think about her and how much we needed him. But he was always getting angry or quiet or pulling away from us. It got pretty bad. And then he started talking about how things would be better off without him. That's when we called the Veterans Crisis Line, who connected us with a counselor at our local VA. Mark's counselors worked with us to make a safety plan for him, a list of suicide warning signs and steps to take when we saw them. Whenever Mark felt himself slipping back into that dark place, we'd look at the safety plan for the steps he could take to stay grounded and connected. Glimpses of the old Mark started coming back. There were times he could go through 1 or 2 steps on his own and see a difference. Sometimes we had to call on others to help. Some days it still seems impossible, but we're keeping with his treatment strategy, going to counseling, and working with the doctors at the VA. It works. It's become such an important part of his recovery. We're getting there. Together.
Yeah, that always gets me. The Dewey Decimal System of Death. Can an algorithm catch a serial killer? Produced at Freethink Media. In this short documentary, Thomas Hargrove talks about how he developed a computer program to help solve murders. This was before AI. He used information from the FBI about how people were killed and turned it into a number code. Then he used a technique called cluster analysis to group together murders that were similar. This helped him find patterns and clusters that could be the work of a serial killer. This is a visualization of how the data and the algorithm came together by translating numbers and code into a map. He moved the story forward by immersing the audience in the process of the algorithm and how it worked.
Known serial killers. What worked was a technique called cluster analysis. And we told the computer to cluster the data. Seattle came up clear as day, something awful had happened, and the algorithm was producing dozens and dozens of other clusters that looked just as bad as Seattle that were not known. Like Gary, Indiana, there were actually 15 unsolved strangulations of women in the area, including 13 in Gary itself.
All right, something that's top of mind, the cult of genius. Produced at Big Think. David Epstein, author of Range, Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World, talks about how people used to think that if you were really good at something when you were little, you would be really good at it forever. But that's not always true. Sometimes it's better to have a lot of different experiences and skills rather than just being really good at one thing. He talks about Tiger Woods, a story we're all very familiar with, and a man named Gunpei Yokoi, who was not very good at electronics in school, but he was able to combine different ideas and create something really cool. Who remembers the Game Boy? Director Robert Chapman Smith pinged me to add movement and visuals to the abstract concepts described by the author, who was filmed on a chair talking to camera. That's always fun. Here's a look at a mood board I curated of classic penguin and pelican books. Who remembers those? Yeah. The common thread was psychological metaphors. Next are some visual metaphors developed for the animation sequences. Here's a supercut of all the graphics developed for the segment. If you'd like to learn more about my practice, here's my Linktree /Sosa Sabe and my email. And here's a public service announcement for everyone. Do you have any questions about how AI affects the creative industry? It's an ever-evolving, moving target at the moment. But if you're curious like me, want to learn, here are some resources for you. The AI Dilemma, just premiered last week. 2-Minute Papers by Caro Zoe Fahir. Cold Fusion by Dagogo Altride. And of course, the Corridor Crew. Thank you.